For we're live. Good evening, all. My name is Annette Latigue. I'm your host here at Word on the Curb podcast. I'd like to invite you to see us on Facebook at the Black Girls Locker Room, What Trenton Really Makes, Word on the Curb, and on YouTube. On YouTube, please hit the like, subscribe, and share button. And as I often remind you, I'm not advertising, but here it is. Here it is. It's watermelon water. I have trouble drinking regular water. I want you to drink water, eat fruit, moisturize your feet, hands, and face, and mind your business. That's how we grow and that's how we glow. Tonight, I'd like to thank my sponsor, the Ingram Kingdom Mobile Kitchen. I'd like to shout out a few podcasts, Dear Sisters podcast. I can never forget Trenton Waves. They're a big part of what I do. I want to shout out Elisa's Catering. I want to shout out Sakina Iman. Congratulations on your daughter moving ahead to the 12th grade. Girl, you're getting ready to find a whole new world. And Sakina said she wanted another baby. I told you I was going to put your business in the street, didn't I? That's what you get for saying it. And I'd like to shout out the Big Easy. They're doing some great things over there in Ewing and at downtown Trenton. I'd like to shout out the Smokehouse. They are moving and shaking. My sorority sister and her husband at 9/11. They're in Willingboro. They're at Newark Airport. And of course, they're in T-Town, downtown Trenton. Check them out. Tonight, I have a very special guest. And I'm excited about this because I've known Lance for a little bit. I've watched his footwork. And tonight, we start a new segment that will roll continuously off and on Word on the Curve. Is called Point of View. And that's where we'll have guests on and they'll be sharing their point of view about various topics. Tonight, Lance is sharing about business, entrepreneurship, politics, and life. His experience, strength, and hope. Come on, Lance. Introduce
Wow.
yourself.
Good evening. Good evening. Thanks for having me. We really have known each other for a little while now, and
Yes.
the more and more I talk to my family members, I'm amazed that they all say nothing but great things about you, and I just didn't know that my mom and my cousins and my aunts and all of them knew you as well, if not better than I did, than I do
That's
rather.
nice to hear.
But they all say some very very beautiful things about you, which I already know. But I just want to give you your flowers while you're here and tell you keep doing what you do. We love you, and we appreciate the work that you do in our city, in our county, in our state, and every eye closed is not sleep. And we appreciate the work that you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you, Lance. That's very kind of you and your family. Thank you.
Yep.
So, talk to us.
So
Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? In a
so
few words, who are you?
Lance Lopez was, in my opinion, this quiet guy who was just interested in trying to help our Trenton community out. I was born and raised in Trenton, New Jersey. In my high school years, my father, who was a Trenton police officer,
Oh,
just didn't want me to go to Trenton High. He wanted me to have a better educational opportunity, so he moved to Hamilton. And as much as I didn't see the forest for the trees, one of the one of the best things that I think he could have ever done, at my young and tender age, was to send me to a different school system because um, I wasn't focused.
okay.
There's a lot of us that claim that we was focused and we all would have done the right thing and been a better productive citizen in society. But I thank God for my father who saw the forest for the trees and wanted more and just didn't want to see us get into any kind of trouble, which could have easily been a path that I would have went down. had I decided to, or had he decided to continue to send us to the Trenton schools, because at that time um, we were very influenced by people in our community, and
That's
you know
right.
what they say about cop kids and preachers kids.
Yep.
You want a bad child, you make them a preacher and a cop kid, and you're gonna have a child that's gonna give you a hard time. So, I was fortunate enough to get another opportunity, a different opportunity, where I was educated in the Hamilton Township school system in my high school years, and then moved on to the military, where I joined the army after not long
Mm,
after.
that's
Um,
right. You are a veteran.
yes, I
Yeah.
am.
Thank
Um,
you for serving.
you're welcome. And I got married at a very, very, very young age. And again, even though my father steered us in a great direction to have an education, I just felt that college wasn't for me, and we took a different route, me specifically, and we were spoiled as well.
Hmm.
So I got married very, very young. I was 20 years old when I got married,
Wow.
and in that marriage we have four beautiful kids, and I have another daughter by a previous relationship. So that was five kids that I was raising, um, and during that time, I was married for 26 years.
Mhm.
And in 2017, we were just both going in two different directions. We had matured a little bit on one side and had different views on another.
Mhm.
So it was time that we, just go our separate ways and, get along for the sake of the kids, and become good co-parents, and, and watch the kids grow and try to flourish as much as they possibly can.
I
Now,
salute both of you for that.
yeah,
I had a
yeah,
training day before yesterday about generations and how the generations impact us along the way, and some of the things we need to change and some of the things we don't. But the ability to co-parent is not always easy. So salute to you and your co-parent,
right,
Adela.
right, right. We done an excellent job, in
Yes.
making sure the last two. So it was more so the effects that it had on the younger two kids, and it affected them during their high school years. So it was that
Okay.
ninth, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade year that they was affected by it. But they got
Okay.
past it, and we were able to move on. And again, we get everybody get along. I'm now married again. I just got married last October, October 1st, to my wife, Dawn Lopez. And we're coming up
Yes.
on our 1 year anniversary. So, um, again, I currently live in Titusville, um, but
Mhm.
everything that I do it in the great city of Trenton, because that's where my roots are. And we have a
Yeah.
beautiful 10-year-old daughter, my stepdaughter Ava. And we just got one kid in the house, and the other two 20-year olds are in between school, working, and military, you know
Okay.
come and go as they need to. So
Had a wonderful
everything's going.
opportunity to meet your beautiful wife and lovely daughter, your
Yeah.
stepdaughter, your
Hmm.
bonus daughter.
Right,
So
right.
congratulations on that. Dawn
Thank
is
you.
an awesome host. And
Thank you.
so salute to her as well. You both are, but Dawn is very gracious.
She's
And
very
so
gracious. Yeah,
she
very
is.
gracious.
Having had the
um
opportunity to meet her. Thank you.
yeah, yeah, I'm glad you came out. Obviously, we, you know politically, if we want to run into politics,
Yeah,
um,
come on.
you know, this thing called politics, I didn't know if I really wanted to get into it, but I got in politics because I ran a labor union, the largest law
Hmm.
enforcement labor union in the state. And one of the things that I said when I became the president of that union was, and I've seen this over the years, um, there was a several predecessors before me. One in particularly, Thomas Little, was a great leader,
Mhm.
and hats off to him. God rest his soul. He died very early in my
Mm.
career. I probably had less than 5 years, and the
Okay.
vision that he saw for our labor union, um, and what he gave back to our community, I haven't seen that kind of give back since he was the president of our organization.
Okay.
And one of the things that I said was, if I ever have an opportunity to ever lead this labor union, that I will give back to this city,
Okay.
what they haven't been getting for years. And for us to be a full-fledged law enforcement labor union, um, which is headquartered right in the city of Trenton, the capital city, right across the street from the State House.
Yep.
The same way our citizens require and request and hope that the state will pay their fair share when it comes to tax relief and property taxes for these state buildings that's in our
Yeah.
city. They should require that for some of these organizations that have their headquarters right here in the cities, and benefiting from them. Give back to your community. So that was one of the things that I said to my organization, which was, we have to be a part of the process. The reason why law enforcement in general
Yeah.
get a bad rap is because they see people who come to their community, take from their tax base and leave and give that money to somebody else. And that's what pisses people off. And one of the things that I said that I would do is I would find a way to make sure that we gave back to our community. And during my 4 year tenure at the PBA, I'm really, really happy to say that we probably given upwards of $400,000 to community
You
organizations
guys did a great job.
around the state, and more particularly, Trenton probably got about 150,000 of that from various
Okay.
organizations and fundraisers and sponsorships and things like that. If they called, we were there to help our community out. And one of the things that I said, the only way you get bills passed and
Mhm.
legislation passed is you have to, one, show your community that you're there for them first, and
Right.
prove to them that you have good intentions. Um, Three was to stop the abuse of convicted felons inside these prison walls, because everybody that's locked up is not a criminal.
That's right.
And there's a lot of people who are locked up through no fault of their own, but just at the wrong place at the wrong time. And the
Yep.
circumstances really don't warrant them to spend that kind of time in jail. So again, I was just fortunate enough to connect with legislatures and political leaders in a way that resonated with them. And then I became believable, um, after, one, doing the things that I did in the community, and then
Mhm.
two, the membership saw a huge difference in how professionally the organization was ran, which got me into the political arena, in which I thought of the assembly. And this is when Liz Moyo was going to run for assembly. And of course, I yelled to Liz Moyo, who was the chairperson at the time. But what I
Mhm.
respected about her is she brought me into the party, and with open arms. She did not hesitate, even though I was potentially running for a position that, she had her eyes set on as well. But she welcomed me into the party, so that never fell on deaf ears.
Okay.
When she asked to yield to her for that assembly seat, um, as well as Sam, who also eyed that seat, who also asked to yield the seat, and I believe he was involved in the county, committee
Yes.
folks, as well as he
Yes.
was the freeholder at the time, now called
Yes.
commissioners.
Yes.
Um, and then I got involved on the commissioner side, and I remember so well when I decided that I was going to run for commissioner at committee, and I lost by just 18 votes, I think it was, at convention. Um, and again, it was 8 candidates. I was counted out, and I was counted out
Not by
in
everybody.
I was
Not
counted
by
out in the first
everybody.
right in the first round, and I went all the way to the last round, and and Nina Melker, I couldn't have lost to a better person.
Great
Nina,
commissioner.
great. She
Yes,
is a great commissioner. She's doing the work for the people in our county, which I love about her. Um, she answered my calls if I call her. She's there for people, and she's
she is.
already a great person. So
Yes.
hats off and shout out to Nina for the great work that she's doing in the county as well.
And you know what? You make a good point. But let's delve a little bit more into this because what I want you to share about is your experience with that. So, if there's a younger person out there that wants to run for office, from your experience, humbly and honestly, what would you tell them?
Well, what I would say is, one, know that you really want to do it. Um,
Okay.
and I could have ran again. I could have ran several times again. Here was
Yep.
the thing about why I said that I wouldn't run the second time.
Okay.
Is because what I cried for was diversity. Um,
Hmm.
and it wasn't that I really wanted it. I wanted diversity more than I wanted to be the commissioner.
Okay.
Um, and when Terrence became the commissioner, we got a leg in to
Parents.
become, shout out to Terrence, right, Stokes. We got a leg up where we added another diverse commissioner. Now, don't get me wrong, we still have a long way to go, because
Absolutely.
there is no
Absolutely.
Latino that sit on the commissioner board, and I don't believe there's a veteran that sits on the commissioner board as well.
Right.
So, but the young people who want to get involved and who want to run, don't let nobody tell you can't do it.
That's right.
Don't shout out to John Raines. He
Yes.
always say, count your votes, know what your numbers are, know what your
That's
numbers are.
right.
So,
You know, a lot
um,
of people can't count.
a lot of
Even
people
some
can't
of
count.
those who have been in politics for a minute can't count.
Absolutely. Right. Right. So, um, that was the deal. You have to be able to count. You have to contact people. You have to talk to them. You have to knock on doors. And people who support you will support you. There was a lot of people that was upset with me about not running and running against the party. But again, it was the bigger picture. It wasn't about me. It was about diversity, and it was about us having a seat at the table. And if we have a seat at the table, at least we're moving in a positive direction. So, I think we got what we wanted when we started saying and speaking on diversity, and we still have a ways to go. I'm not saying that we don't, but at right now at 52, I think that there are some younger folks out here that need to really think about and debate with themselves first to see if this is something they want to do, and then get back into it. Because I do have a problem with the older generation of politicians who's just not teaching the younger generations on how to become a successful or a politician that they may find themselves wanting to take up as a career. Um, we have to teach. We have to teach people and help people, and not be threatened by somebody having more knowledge than somebody else. It's about doing the work and bringing people up to do the work in the community as they have.
You make a point again that first I want to go back to something that you said. You said that there were some people who had feelings about the fact that you would run against the party. I don't think that's possible in a democratic society, to tell you the truth.
Hmm.
I believe that any and everybody who wants to run should have the opportunity to do that. And the very fact that there are some who feel like they should be in office for the term of their life is wrong.
Right.
And at each step, I always believed that the people, and I still do, determine the term limits. But if folks want to see change, they have to participate in it.
They have
They
to.
have to participate in it. You have to participate in the change. I think that there is a wonderful opportunity for people to be involved. You have some people now, I think, who are moving towards doing the right thing. And then you have some people who are just as stubborn and obstinate and refusing to listen to anybody other than themselves when it comes to being in an elected office. They will eventually suffer the consequences of that because I think
Hmm.
there is a new movement with the younger generation to be involved and to be committed to. But in terms of running, that's everybody's right.
Everybody
And
has.
nobody has the right to tell them that they can't do it. So
Right.
thank you for that, Lance.
Right.
Thank
They
you.
definitely should. Follow their dreams.
And we
Um,
have somebody who says that they should not be threatened by others. They absolutely should not. Because if you're doing your job, you'll retain your seat.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
after a
We used to
certain
say that.
point, you need to move on.
We used to say that in the union office too. Nobody, you get complacent when you don't have a potential challenger, and challenge only makes you
That's
stronger.
right. That's right.
So you stay on your feet when you
That's
when
right.
when there's somebody out there that could
That's
potentially
right.
take your seat.
That's right. And everybody who wants to run should prepare to run.
Hmm.
There are a lot of unprepared people sitting across the state in seats that they shouldn't be in. It's not just Trenton, it's in a lot of places. And
Right.
one of the things you find, you can tell when people are prepared to do a job, and an elected official understands their role, they commit to the people first
Right. Right.
and not the politics. They also surround themselves with capable, qualified people.
Right.
And when they don't, you can see the difference.
Right.
You
Right.
can see the difference. And
You can
so
absolutely.
that's right. So telling people that, they can run and they should run if that is their choice, um, I think is a wonderful idea. But tell us a little bit about some of the things, you actually learned in this run for commissioner, beyond the fact that Nina Melker makes a phenomenal commissioner, and you couldn't have lost or learned in a better experience than with somebody like her. Nina is doing her thing. She's very responsive. She responds. She calls you back. She understands the principles before personality piece of politics. A lot of elected officials don't.
Right. And I believe. I mean, here's the thing about me. I think I'm a hard worker. And I actually, I actually love the fact that people know I work hard. And
Yes.
but I will say this: you got to work harder than hard to be in politics.
Yes.
You just cannot be a hard worker. You have to be married to serving the people. Um, and I learned that, and maybe that portion of it is what I didn't do, which didn't get me across the finish line. But that's not a bad thing either, because maybe that wasn't for me at the time. Maybe I just needed to bring certain lights to certain situations and certain things that was taking place in Mercer County. I mean, I always said during the time that I was running that Mercer County can do more for its veteran community. That was my belief. That's still my belief. That's my wish. And it seems like the attention that Mercer County veterans are getting from Assemblyman Dan Benson is powerful. He's a great candidate. Before he even thought about politics on a county level,
Mm-hmm.
he was there with me when I was serving as president of the union, and I was having press conferences and talking about issues that faced us every day. He was there for us. He was and he was over law and public safety, but when we were wrong on certain issues and he couldn't speak on on our behalf, he told me he
Mhm.
couldn't. So he kept it 100 with me, which I respect. And he did the right thing for the people in his district that he had to serve. And because of that, the fruits of his labor is certainly coming to fruition. And I think he'll make an excellent, excellent county executive come January.
I agree with you. I think one of the things I admire most about Dan, and you raised his name, is because, his big tent theory is real.
Hmm.
Dan is one of the first people in a long time. And even now, I admire and respect the outgoing county exec, not his entire team, but I do respect him.
Hmm.
Dan brought people to the table. He's bringing people to the table who have never had the opportunity to sit before, because so many people take for granted that because they're Democrats, and I'm a strong Democrat, that you'll just simply vote for him. And I'm telling the people today, look for something different in Dan Benson, something different in that he does want you to be included. Does that mean everybody's going to get a job? No. Does that mean everybody's going to get a contract? No. What it means is that he will hear you. He will visit you. He will be in your community. He'll be talking, with you and sharing ideas and hearing what you have to say. Dan has the ability to listen, absorb, sort out, and move forward in a way that works best for everybody. So I salute him. I'm absolutely supporting him, and I'm looking forward to him taking the reins in Mercer County.
And what
So,
and what I love about him is that he doesn't take the votes for granted. And we know
no,
we're living in a generation now where the Democratic Party doesn't vote in the way that they used to vote decades ago, where they just went down the Democratic line and just hit the lever for the Democratic candidates all
right.
the way down the line. They're starting to pluck vote and go with other candidates off the line of the traditional party line, and that is because of the millennials and other Democratic young groups that are fed up and tired of hearing the older generation Democrats saying just vote down straight down the Democratic line. Now I'm all for voting down the Democratic line, and I want to stick with our county chair and make sure that we supportive and following what our democratic beliefs are. But we also must bear in mind and keep in mind that we have to figure out a way where the younger generation is more inclusive in the decision making that go on in the Democratic Party and make them part of the process. And once they become a part of the process, then they can teach their their group of individuals and within their
Yes,
organization, listen, this is
yes,
why we should go in this direction because
yes.
of these values here.
Mhm.
Um, and you're talking about in my family, we're three generations of law enforcement: my father, myself, and now my daughter.
That's pretty cool.
And we have a lot of people who just hate cops, and who hate law enforcement in general. And one of the things that I say is, we do a lot of things. We go out here, we get tickets, we get um, all these things that happening, and police officers out here find a way to give, for us to get a record. Now we can get these jobs that are paying great salaries and great money. But in order to stop the police violence that's going on and is taking plagues in our cities, we have to
Mhm.
be a part of the process. And that process is that we have to get African Americans on board, and somebody has to be willing to say, I'm going to put that badge on and go in my own community and work in my community to make sure that we can clean up our community and stop allowing other people who don't live in our community, who don't spend those dollars in our communities, who don't take care of our families in those communities. That's a part of that process. So the same way that we thinking about doing it on a from a political side of the democratic values, we have to start thinking about that when it comes to either law enforcement or firefighters or what have you, in our communities, so that way we can make sure that they're protected and they're safe out here in these streets.
That's pretty cool, Lance, because I think that the misrepresentation from some officers is not the feeling and thoughts of all. There are bad officers and there's good officers.
Hmm.
But the bottom line is until we start participating and voting and becoming a part of some of these things, we're not going to turn them around. Our problem is we don't vote.
Absolutely.
We don't vote. That's
Absolutely.
that's a reality. We don't vote, and until you have over 40 some odd thousand of registered voters in the city, and when you have a 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 turnout,
That's
how
crazy.
horrible is that? And somebody said absolutely, and they said the Democratic Party, when voting, it should always be reminded of the questions that need attention on the ballot. It should be answered of every election. That's true. Watch
Hmm.
for the questions. The other thing is you got to learn how to hold your elected officials accountable. Most
Absolutely.
people don't know how to do it. You think if your elected official shows up and speaks to you or attends your party. You had somebody in the North Ward who did nothing but attend parties and hang out with you and look at the North Ward. I'm not going to call the name, but clearly there was no representation there. You
Hmm.
can't hang out with me and represent me. You represent me in policy, in budgeting, and in decisions that impact economic equity.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
representation. And
Absolutely.
we've lost that. Tell us a little bit about entrepreneurship, Lance. What would you give a young business owner? What would you tell them? Because your business is called The Leaf, I believe,
The Leaf Mobile, yes.
The Leaf Mobile. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, what would you recommend for folks going
So
into
so
business?
this was, it was something that I was toying around with for a couple of years. I never saw it before. I know how extremely difficult it is to get a permit to open up an actual lounge in the state of New Jersey since they
Mm-hmm.
gotten rid of the smoky indoor smoking,
Right,
especially if your building is touching someone else's building,
right.
because of smoke contamination in food and drinks and stuff like that. So I was toying around with the ideal of having a mobile cigar lounge that will give me the ability to bring the cigar lounge experience to your location, as opposed to you going to a lounge and having, whether it's a bachelorette party, bachelor party, or any other celebration at the cigar lounge. This time it was COVID was getting really, really thick during this period.
Mm,
And I ended up going to Atlanta, and a good friend of mine's down there named Christine. She has a she has a mobile cigar lounge, and I talked to her about it, and I was telling her how serious I was about getting it, and she was like, "You're not serious until you go and do it. Stop talking about it and just do it."
right.
And she kept it really 100 with me, and I came back home to New Jersey, and I was telling um, Audrey, who was my executive assistant when I was at the union office,
Mm-hmm.
that I was going to open up a mobile cigar lounge, and she began to ask me what was it about, how did how is it going to work, and I told her, and then she was like, "Well, I want in, I want to be a partner,"
Okay.
um, and she was like, "What you need?" And it took off from there, and we've opened it up in 2020, is when we started it. 21 we got it up and running, and it's really been successful. We're probably rented 3, sometimes 4 days a week.
Okay.
And people call us, we go out to their location. If it's a The only thing that we say, because there's an ordinance in parks that say you can't smoke in there, so they have to get a permit for a park, unless it's a waterway that's inside the park, then they can smoke in the park. um, but we do have a lot of rentals. Believe it or not, it's mostly women that rent the RV for that
I'm
purpose.
not
But
surprised. I'm
it's
not
a
surprised.
it's a class A 39-foot RV, which only requires a regular driver's license. You don't need a CDL or anything like that.
Okay.
And we have our tobacco license to allow us to sell cigars there as well. So
How many
we have
does
our
it seat?
18 people, nice and comfortable.
Okay.
When I was getting the work done, one of the things the construction guys was telling me, you should put limousine seating in here. You can get more people in here. I said, I don't want more people in here. I want people to feel comfortable, and I want
Right.
people to think that they're actually in a lounge. So we have real furniture in the RV, and we have a section in the back, and then we have a section up front, and then we have obviously huge counter space with a couple of refrigerators for people to put whatever cold drinks that they
Okay.
may have or want on there, as well as a couple of televisions. One we can put outside, and they can watch TV, sports, and things like that. And it's to my surprise, I didn't know we was going to be this busy, and I think, yeah. Well, I told her we have to turn down jobs sometimes because I'm just not available
Okay.
to take it everywhere.
Well, I have to tell you that as a Cowboy fan, Sam Frisbee is, I think, an Eagle fan, and we want to host some type of venue where the two teams can come together with no fighting, a line down the middle,
Hmm.
and watch an Eagles and Dallas game. And perhaps you guys will be able to
Absolutely,
show up and help us do some of that.
absolutely. We would love
Yeah,
to. We would
yeah.
love to. I know. We're doing the Eagles and San Fran game
Okay,
tailgate in December um, with the young kid that just got drafted from Penn State.
okay.
And he went to Trenton High alumni.
So where are you going to be with that game?
So
Are you going to be in,
we'll be in Philly.
Philly?
Yeah.
Okay, that
So
sounds interesting. I
yeah,
think
we're
I'm
excited.
throwing down a gauntlet, Sam. I'm challenging you to get this game together for us.
Tell Sam, don't
And
talk about it, be about it.
don't talk about it, Sam. Be about it. That's what Mr. Lopez said. Okay. So come on. I know you're a little frightened, the Eagles and the Cowboys, but it's okay. We're going to be gentle with you. Get the event together. He
Right.
promised to do that. So I'm airing him out right here. He has an opportunity to say, Reverend Roach says Tig.
Tig, yes, yes, that's his name. Tig.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So let's just get it done. Lance, I thank you, for the opportunity to host you. I'd like to have you back again with your wife to,
Absolutely.
talk about some of the things that you guys are doing as a power couple. I see you as a power couple. I see you as a couple that are moving ahead and doing some things just a little bit different, and so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, she's a little on the conservative shy side, which I'm kind of breaking her out that shell. But she's like, I like it over here on the quiet side. But
That's okay.
she definitely enjoyed the event at the house a couple weeks ago. And she said,
That was a
okay,
pretty nice event.
I can do something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have a party. You're gonna be included. Uh, Mark Broach will be included. He's a Dallas Cowboys fan too.
He was just that he was just being honored. Congratulations to him. Shout out to him. He was just
Congratulations. Congratulations. Yeah, pretty cool guy. Great wife, a friend of mine, Jennifer.
yes.
They're just really cool people. And you know what? It's good to meet cool people. And you're one of those cool people, Lance. And I'm really happy to have the opportunity to engage with you. I want to get more people on point of view to just simply share their point of view. Now, just quickly tell us about some of your plans. Don't give too much away, but where are you moving
So
to? Because folks are saying is Sunday's over.
Cigar Sunday is over. So I, I've came to I was toying with it, and I initially thought that I would go another 2 years. I said that 10 years would be plenty for me to run the Cigar Sunday event. Um, and it just, I woke up one day and I was in all, and it just toyed with me and toyed with me and toyed with me, and um, it's an unfortunate situation that there was a shooting that took place in the garage
Yeah.
about 6 weeks ago,
Hmm.
um, and I don't know if that had anything to do with the number of people that was coming down to the event. But we had one great turnout since then.
Okay.
And what I said was, maybe it Cigar Sunday had just ran its course. Um,
That's
and
possible.
there are times that things run its course, and it just it was time for me, and I thought that I had to make a decision, and I'd rather make it sooner than later. And
Right.
I said to the owner, here's what I like about me. um I rather leave willingly than for you to tell me you no longer want my business.
Right.
And you know i want I want to make the call, and this is the call that I'm comfortable on making.
Okay.
And when I came home, I actually made the call there at Cigar before I went to at the House Music Festival,
Okay.
and I posted on Facebook. Um, and my wife asked me when I came home, hey, you okay? What's up with this Cigar Sunday? You canceled. And I was like, it's time. And she was like, how do you feel about it? I said, ask me in the morning. Um,
Okay.
so, you know, that morning she asked and said, how'd you sleep? I said, I slept great. The fan was on and I didn't wake up in the middle of the night. So
Okay.
I'm good with the decision that I made. Um, but what I really want to do is I want to do a version of the Cigar Sunday where I support um, black-owned businesses,
Okay.
and entrepreneurs who have businesses that they
That's great.
can that they can that we can host, so we can travel up and down the East Coast to different venues, and they can explore different cultures of African American foods and talk about what they have to offer, experience the cigars culture, and experience the drinks that they may serve in those areas, and just support those venues. And the way I would do that is by creating a reality TV show, is the hope to do.
I told you he was a man with a plan. I
Yep.
told you that he had experience, strength, and hope. Ladies and gentlemen, Lance Lopez. Lance, thank you for a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Um, yeah, somebody says it's time to move on, and you got to know when to hold them, know when to roll them, know when to walk away, and know when to play. And right now, you're playing with a plan.
Right.
Congratulations. Thank you very much for joining us. I am your host here, Annette. My guest tonight on our launch point of view episode is Lance Lopez. We'll see you again soon, Lance.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good
Thank you
night.
for your time. Thank you for your service. And thank you for your commitment. He's also branching out in another way in politics. He's making moves and making decisions about what happens in our community with our families. Thank you, Lance. Have a good night.
Thank you.